Hello, AI community, and welcome to an exciting new series from ServiceNow and Accenture, where we are talking about how AI is going to transform how we work. My name is Savannah Peterson here in theCUBE studios in Palo Alto, California. Very excited to be joined by Dave and Paul today. Thank you both so much for taking the time.
It's wonderful to be here, Savannah.
We're already having fun. So
already are.
if this segment is anything like the last 20 minutes in the green room have been, everybody's in for a treat. We're going to cover a lot of topics right now. We're going to talk about the partnership. We're going to talk about all of the Lighthouse projects. But I want to bring up something that we were just talking about a second ago. And we were having a bit of a tagline discourse that led me to exactly where I want to start this conversation. Dave, can you tell me your favorite tagline?
My favorite tagline.
Yes.
Our favorite tagline together.
Yes, your favorite collective tagline.
We're going to put AI to work for people. And what I love about that is like everything that we're doing with this technology is about making this work for all employees, for customers, to have a more delightful experience in what they're doing every day, but in particular to let the employees across the organization in every corner of the office like use their brains and what their strengths are to grow their business and drive innovation. And to me, putting AI to work for people just encapsulates everything that we want to do together in our partnership.
I totally agree. And the reason that that struck me so much, I mean, we're having a conversation about how we combat the myths of the doomer side of the AI conversation. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, the framing is usually, oh, AI is going to come take my job. It's not. A computer never came and took your job. This isn't how this works. There's an evolution. But I'm curious, and Paul, I want to ask you, because you are very much on the front lines of this, how do we transform work? And as a more complex add-on to that, how do we communicate how we're going to transform work so that it's digestible for the communities that we're working with?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. So we talk about putting AI to work for people, as Dave just said, but the way we do that is we are the AI platform for business transformation. And I know that can sound a little buzzwordy, okay? But at the end of the day, you know, the way that we visualize it is pretty simple, Savannah. We just think about all of the different systems that have been built over the past 50 years. You know, if you think about the technology that customers have put in, and then, you know, between the pandemic and now, so call it 4 and 5 years later, all of the point solutions that have been added on top of that architecture. So many of our customers are just swimming in a sea of complexity. And the investments there, and you know, I actually said to somebody recently, I met with more CFOs in the past year than I ever have in my time at ServiceNow, because they're all saying, how do you help me with this complexity and streamline the architecture to get rid of some of these costs out of my IT budget so I can invest in AI? So we start there. We start with the complexity that our customers are facing, and then we take the ServiceNow platform and we put that on top. And so all of the integration work that we have, all the ways that we can actually streamline those business processes across all those point solutions in that complex technology architecture is the way that we start. And that is where we've been for a long time, with a single data model, single architecture born in the cloud. Now, when you add AI to that, and you think about all those repetitive tasks that come, even when you actually optimize those workflows across every corner of your business, where AI has taken us, and we'll talk more about it with Dave and the partnership with Accenture, is way beyond that. And when we think about putting AI to work for people.
I love. What's the number one thing you hope AI does for you at work?
For me?
Yes.
The number one thing I hope it does for me is stop approving things like travel and expense reports.
Oh, bless. That whole process.
Right.
Just
completely automated.
Yes.
And in fact, we just showed a demo at our sales kickoff last week, automating that entire process.
So it's going to happen soon?
It's going to happen soon.
We can implement that here at theCUBE within the next few hours. Great, can't wait.
Absolutely.
You can help us onboard that while you're in the
Happy
studio.
to help.
Happy to help. Matter of fact,
Happy
we
to help.
actually have a draft statement of work in order form with us.
Is that actually what this piece of paper is? Yeah.
Right here, Savannah.
Oh, I love it. Dave, what about you? What do you hope AI does for you? How do you want to put it to work for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's another great question. I mean, think about all the administrative work and the amount of time we search to get key information for important events, for important meetings. To be able to take that, have agents pull all that for us, summarize that, but also like recommend our next steps. I'm hoping to use that time to be spending more time with customers and more time with my team.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what's happened over the last 4 or 5 years, especially coming out of the pandemic, we're putting more and more on our people every day, and the hours are getting longer. And this is an opportunity here to to apply these agents to take care of that highly repetitive administrative work that matters. But I want to get all of our team members, we're out with customers every day. That's the goal. And I think agents are going to allow us to get there a lot faster.
I totally agree with you. It's not that we're giving anything up or losing anything to this technology. It's what we're gaining back, and all the cool, empowering things we're going to be able to do with that. Speaking of cool and empowering things, y'all have been working together for a while, co-collaborating on a series of different projects and initiatives over an extended period of time. When we had, as you referenced it earlier, Dave, which I appreciate, the big bang moment of, we'll call it November of 2023. Can't imagine what happened then.
Yeah.
How did your teams come together to assemble this wonderful crew that you have to build the future?
Yeah, I mean, it was a special moment. I think there are a couple of things that happened in late 2023. A couple of things. I think, one, just for perspective on how we think about what happened in the world of AI in late 2023. First of all, the world of AI in 2023, prior to November 2023, we thought about analytics. Our AI is an analytics discipline, right? Doing correlations and advanced reporting and some machine learning.
Forecasting and
all those good things. And then in a moment, we had this breakthrough where foundation models cracked the natural language barrier. And overnight, press release, announcement after announcement about what that could mean. So we view this as like this big bang moment for the technology, where all of a sudden AI was in the engagement layer, in the transaction layer, and how we think about systems overnight began to change. Overnight, right? And
quite literally.
How we're going to use them, how we're going to design them, who's going to design them, how we're going to operate them, and it's this huge, unbelievable potential. And through all of our partnership that we've had a partnership with ServiceNow since 2012. In 2020, we announced our Accenture ServiceNow Business Group. When the market reaction was, we're going to use ServiceNow, like we're going to reinvent work. And we're like, this is not a ticketing platform anymore. This is a workflow platform for the future. So that was the thought. So through that business group formation, we have regular cadence top to top. And we had this very special program that also formed in late 2023, known as AI Lighthouse, through an idea, through our discussions with our CEOs, where we looked at the conversations we're having with our customers who are coming to us and saying, listen, I've made a ton of investment in all these enterprise technologies. How are these all going to work? How do I make sense of all these announcements? What do I do? And through that discussion sparked an idea that we should go, our CEO said, make AI real for our customers together. And as part of that,
yes, please.
For the announcement came,
also, yes.
And the challenge to both Paul and me to go make this real. And very rapidly, we took that to go move at this exponential pace of how we work with customers together.
Yeah, if I could just build on that,
Please.
Dave. It was really interesting because at that time, in addition to all the technology and the innovation and the excitement, there was a lot of studies done, and certainly Accenture led the way on how much productivity could be gained through generative AI. If you remember, 3 and 4 trillion, just enormous amounts of productivity gains across all functions, all industries. And so we really wanted to figure out how do we come together and give some of our customers first mover advantage. So this is very early days. And at ServiceNow, we were very early with production level capabilities with generative AI in the platform. In fact, we launched 10 months after November 2023, we launched our first set of in production Gen AI capabilities. And so very fast to market.
That's impressive. Shipping in sub a year under those kind of unexpected circumstances. It's not like we knew the big bang was going to happen exactly then.
For sure. And we had been building AI capabilities into the ServiceNow platform for a while. We had acquired some companies in Canada, but this was, so we were very far down the path with large language models at that point, which allowed us to go into production early on. But that gave Dave and I and the rest of the teams that we put on this the opportunity to look at it and say, what can we actually do for customers now that will drive at scale use cases and real return on investment?
I want to dig into those because I'm very excited about it. You two have worked on 30 to 40 different, very large marquee customers through this program. And have been now working on this for a couple years. Talk to me about some of the use cases And some of the results, if you can share any spicy data with me.
Yeah, we'd love to. And as you said, you're right. Paul and I think personally covered all of those initial conversations.
I had a feeling you might have been
Yeah.
involved there
Yeah,
on
like and
breaking
then
bread at the dinner
and
table
our
for
teams
those.
did dozens and dozens of workshops.
Yeah.
Like getting into the client's environment, proving out like where are we going to go with this technology, and again, how do we make this real for the organization and the employees? I mean, a couple of examples, and I think what makes our partnership very special is not only are we partnering, going to customers, but we're also a key customer of ServiceNow. Why does that matter is from an Accenture standpoint, we have nearly 790,000 people around the world across 49 different countries and 200 cities.
Casual.
So one of the best ways that we could go and prove to customers that this works is making it work within our own organization too. And my team, in addition, responsible for delivering these services out at every customer, also providing those services back to Accenture. And I think that's what makes our partnership so strong, is that we can have this direct feedback. But just to give you a sense, what some of the dynamic of supporting this many employees around the world. We want our employees with customers, not in our offices is actually our goal. So we've got to support being remote, out at wherever that location may be. And we do not want our employees spending their time doing a lot of administrative work. So when technology problems happen on a laptop or whatever remotely, it's a big productivity hit and an impact potentially at a client. So we have about 12,000 agents today within our IT organizations supporting these requests. Just to give you a sense, in the next minute that we're chatting, 6 incidents will come in from around the world. Now, with ServiceNow technology, because we're running that platform over 1,900 workflows across Accenture.
Not a small number of workflows.
IT, HR, finance,
1,900 you said? Just
1,900.
to make sure everyone grasps the scope of that. Yeah.
1,900. And again, this is like reinventing work across every corner of our organization. So those 6 incidents, 4 of those will have an assist today.
Wow.
And what does that mean for one of those agents? Well, today, if we look at that incident resolution process with the Now Assist agent that we have running, we tackle about 2 steps on that process, helping summarize, dealing with resolution notes, and some of the auto routing. And that's saving 100 hours or so every single day for us. We're also, part of this 1,900 workflows, we have a number of very specific Accenture processes. You're not going to find those out of the box. Great thing with the ServiceNow platform is that we can build workflows specific for our company. And we do that regularly. And what we have found by giving what are called the Creator Pro Plus workflows, these are allowed to create apps, low-code apps quickly. We are getting velocity improvements of getting those apps live like 15 to 20% higher than we were over a year ago.
That makes a huge difference over the course of a quarter, over the course of a year.
So now our environment's ready. We're ready for the agentic AI agents that are coming next. Our team is ready to talk with them today. Our environment's all upgraded, and we are going to be using a set of out-of-box workflows and a set of other, we already have targeted the next 5 workflows that we're going to go after internally. And then we think about back to those IT agents, those 6 incidents, we actually think we're going to go and tackle and have agents running multiple steps today that are now done today manually, that we can actually automate them and rethink how that whole process is going to work.
That's going to free up a lot of mind share too.
Yes.
It's so exciting. How do you talked about 1,900 workflows, you've identified the next 5. I bet you have to do a fair bit of this, Paul. How do you help people prioritize where they're putting their efforts or their investment at this stage, since we are so early?
Yeah, it's really important, and it's an important part of the process. When we did Lighthouse, we really wanted to join forces with Accenture so we could think about what are the key business processes that will drive the highest return on investment. And so we were thinking about how to prioritize there, because up until that point, generative AI had been very exciting, very exploratory. We saw customers with thousands of pilots, but weren't sure where to make their investments to actually grow those and drive ROI. So we went in and did these discovery workshops ahead of time, before any software was purchased, before any services were purchased, and it was all focused on what are the best outcomes for that customer and what will drive the highest ROI. And we wanted to tackle those. By the way, some of those can be the most complex. Dave just highlighted a few. I mean, first of all, Accenture is an amazing company, but to have 700,000 people globally, you can imagine the at-scale ROI that Dave is looking for in that case. But other customers, we went after every single industry. We went after financial services, manufacturing, and we saw the same types of challenges in those industries. In fact, some analysts predict that most people, to get their jobs done, have to actually interact with 17 different systems a day. And that's about a 30% productivity drain. Now, I think Accenture would probably not be in that category because they're very advanced, but many companies out there, again, all that acquisition. So if you're a person trying to get your job done and you have to swivel chair into 17 different systems, you can imagine the productivity loss. Yeah. And, you know, obviously engagement goes down, all those things. So a lot of what we're doing, a lot of the examples Dave gave, what we've seen very successful with Lighthouse, is eliminating a lot of that swivel chair work and automating a lot of the small tasks that people then can redirect their time to focus on the bigger things.
That's such an important point. I'm visualizing this as 17 open tabs,
yeah,
and trying to go between them just to get my one answer or my one thing solved for whatever that customer may be. And it's chaos. You know, it's not just that we're streamlining processes and workflows or decreasing complexity. We're also creating space by decreasing cognitive load. And that's where I think a lot of the human potential is really going to be realized, and we'll really get to feel the impacts of that. You've now had a couple years in the trenches, really on the front lines of this. Have there been any real big surprises on the journey? Anything you didn't expect or interesting insights you can share? Yeah, go for it, Paul.
I think what I would say is that pleasantly surprised is when we got into the workshops with our customers, the creativity and how you would actually apply this. You know, and I'll give you an example that's probably, it now seems obvious, but at the time it wasn't. One of the customers that we worked on together is a large technology customer. And in the early days, they had already started to build some agents inside of the platform. And so they wanted to make sure that those agents, they didn't lose those agents. And at ServiceNow, we actually connect to all the LLMs. We have a whole architecture that allows you to take advantage of any investments you've made outside of the platform. But they wanted to bring that experience in the platform. And one of the things they wanted to do was they were running their customer service on top of ServiceNow or within ServiceNow. And as the request would come in, they wanted to be able to personalize the response based on who the requester was. So you could be a technician, you could be a business owner, you could be a senior executive submitting a request. They want to be able to categorize and then use generative AI to summarize the response based on persona.
Talk about know your audience.
Know your audience. Now today we do that out of the box, but at that point that was very innovative to think about how am I personalizing the message, because these summarizations are making these fulfillers, or what we call the agents, much more productive, but only if you're actually matching the right response with the right customer.
It's what email personalization always wanted to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's right. At its simplest form.
So the creativity was very exciting, you know, that we were seeing from customers as we were getting to these workshops. And then we would lay it out by process, by function, by persona, and really figure out where that ROI was going to come from. But I think that's what pleasantly surprised me, Dave, as we got deep in with the customer.
And I feel like with that example, Paul, too, it just turbocharged this cycle of innovation. I mean, it's amazing to watch the ServiceNow product team. Used to do 2 major releases a year. Now, releases are dropping on the AI front quarterly, but almost monthly. And just to see through all of our Lighthouse engagement, how open they were to the feedback we were getting real time from these pioneering customers. And I think it's made all of us better.
Totally
all of us better.
And now you see the evolution. So we started off with Now Assist and the things Dave talked about, and some of the examples that we've given here and we've seen from customers, and we can give you lots of data points. But the evolution now is from that assist to that advisor to now autonomous.
It is exciting. And I know, I mean, we're talking about how nerds are having a moment right now. This is all very exciting for any of us who have been in this space. And the apex of the conversation right now is very much around agentic. I'm curious, since you're actually seeing this at scale within your teams as well as within your customers, how are the agents interacting with the agents, and how is that adoption going?
It's fantastic.
Yeah?
We could geek out here for a minute.
Let's go, Dave. Right. That's the point.
So as Paul talked about, one of the things that our teams are so energized about how we're going to drive adoption. And we should probably chat a little more about the ways of working. We'll just talk about the technology from a standpoint. I think one of the things that the ServiceNow platform builds on, first of all, a position of strength. So ServiceNow is a platform that's designed to integrate with all the other platforms and investments that an organization's
That
made.
interoperability is really
Absolutely.
key.
Right.
Every one of your partners I ever talk to or customers, is one of the things they bring up.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely key. So how do you deliver on this promise of agentic AI? Well, you need a couple of things. One, you need an agent architecture, one that can orchestrate or coordinate multiple agents. And you're going to see that in the ServiceNow platform. You also need to know responsibly, like, what are these agents firing off? It's one thing to have moved to this world of intent-based, where I can say, hey, I need this done, and it happens. We need to know that the outcome is predictable. When we need to make sure when someone requests an update to a change of address that's going to go to your payroll and your paycheck, we want 100% of that time to work.
We need the trust there.
We need the trust there, right?
Yeah.
So we have that. So that's one layer that we have in the platform, is this control tower for managing all these agents in the platform and going out to other agents. The second thing too, where we think the platform is just as a distinct advantage, is it's designed for multi-model. Each of these models, every day, this weekend, see more and more innovation that's happening. These models are going to continue to shift what we use for reasoning, what we do for different problems that we're trying to solve, and the platform will have that. And then most importantly, we've got to bring together and integrate all your data. So we can build upon what's already there at ServiceNow, plus its new data fabric, to bring this all together. So our teams are so excited because we can configure all of this within the platform, and we can monitor it all, so that we can know that every time we do one of these agents, and we will, when we think about this, the way our teams together think about this with customers, Savannah, is that we will have a team of agents that operates that end-to-end workflow. And each of those agents is going to design to be really, really good at its task. If that's analyzing an incident, hey, do I have all the information that I need? If not, instead of raising that to Savannah, I'm going to go request that information, get it full. I'm then going to categorize and prioritize. Should this be top of the list, or can this wait? And I'm going to keep track of that and let Savannah, I'm going to let you know how I made that choice. And then I'm going to hand it off for someone to go resolve. And that will be an agent, not a person, to go look at all the other 5, 10, 20, 100 times this incident has happened and what we resolved it with, and suggest. And then, Savannah, you can decide which path to take. And once that's all resolved, we'll have your friendly agent send out all the communications that this has been resolved, update all those notes. So like, that's how we're thinking about this, as a team of agents designed with an incredibly elegant architecture.
Yeah, it's really well said. And one of the important things Dave just said is, we know generative AI is fueled by data. And so all AI, I should say, is fueled by data. And so what we've built now with the workflow data fabric that Dave just talked about is, first of all, the foundation of that is what we call RaptorDB Pro. This is a incredibly high-powered database that we just innovated on and launched late last year. Okay, and so
you gave me some
seeing,
really compelling numbers on that earlier. I don't want you to miss the opportunity to share as
well.
well.
We're seeing customers, right? We were talking about before, Savannah. We're seeing customers who have large instances of ServiceNow see 5x improvement in speed, whether that's analytical speed or transaction processing. But we know from tests that it can be as high as 27x in terms of performance. So it's incredible.
Wild.
It's incredible.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's the product and engineering team doing amazing things, by the way. That's what that is. Yeah. We have what we call net new innovation at ServiceNow is the teams that we have doing that are amazing, really. So when you think about the workflow data fabric, you also have these partnerships that we have with Databricks and with Snowflake for zero copy. So if a customer keeps their data in one of those technologies, they can actually workflow across those systems that we talk about integrating in, plus that data, without ever bringing it into ServiceNow. That's completely their choice. So now you can workflow processes of systems where you don't have to move the data and pay twice. So the foundation of workflow data fabric is very compelling. But let me give you a real world use case, which is software provisioning. So imagine how many times we request at work a new application, for wherever you work. And if you can imagine, any size company is going to have thousands of these per month. And typically, they're not very well defined. They don't have context. It's just, I need application A. And so an agent who's handling that request has to go through many steps. Is this person authorized? What kind of profile do they have? What do they actually need? in the first place. And because ServiceNow has context, because we're inside the platform, we know who that person is, we know what their role is in the organization, we know what they should be provisioned. Over time, what happens is you can automate that entire process with multiple agents to the point where the entire process is automated based on policies you have, and then you install the software automatically. So that entire request is handled. Now, what's even more interesting is typically that takes about 4 days response time on average when you look across a large customer base. So now you're instantly providing those applications, installing them automatically, and back to Dave's point around productivity, it's enormous, but you're also not over provisioning, which we see a lot of our customers who have bought a lot of software that their teams aren't necessarily using because they don't need it. And so you save money on provisioning the right software at the right time and driving the productivity completely automated.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
In every direction.
Yeah.
So this is, well, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It seems like this has been a very successful initiative when we talk about the Lighthouse endeavor and the partnerships and projects you both have been working on. What's next?
We need to take what we've learned from Lighthouse and bring AI to the enterprises with agentic AI, make it real. Again, make it real
Please
for
make it real.
customers.
Just louder
Make
for
it
the people
real.
in the back. Just make it real for all of us.
And one of the things we're going to take our learnings. So it's about how we bring that unbelievable product, get it implemented, how we integrate with all the data. And we're going to also put this focus on, as we talked about, how do we take our learnings around ways of working? We had some early learnings during Lighthouse that we could bring the technology, but unless we could get the agents in the product and customer support, in the IT help desk to want to use this, we don't get the gains. Nor do they get the time back to spend their minds on what they do best. So we're going to see that for enterprises. We are also discussing together, as we go to enterprise, every enterprise is bringing this discussion with a very industry-focused conversation. So how we address these issues in telco around customer support, making sure if there were any network outages, we can handle that better, faster, versus in the financial services industry around trade settlements. These are all nuanced changes that matter and how we think about ways of working. So you're gonna see and feel that from us together with this very industry-focused way of bringing agent AI. And the second thing is we're gonna take this to nations as well. So we think the opportunity for public service organizations around the world is tremendous. Of course, there are going to be similar concerns. There is so much work to be done. Let's get all of the employees around the world focused on what they do best. And the whole idea is automate out all these repetitive tasks.
Yeah, it's not going to take your work. It's going to make your work suck less. It's really what I've been saying for a long time. I stand behind this statement. I'm sure we have the footage from 2.5 years ago when I said that the first time. No, but that's the reality of it, right? It's going to get less sludgy, less heavy, less. I think of all the admin time no one told me about when I was younger and looking forward to adulting, and then you're like, wow, this is just a lot of paperwork. There's so many ways around that I think we're going to see, and which is so exciting. Do you see the same on the horizon?
I do see the same, and I think I'd build off what, Dave and I really reflected on a lot of the learnings and to improve kind of the next phase. And what I would say is Accenture, so with what our product and engineering team has done with the platform, it now allows Accenture to innovate even faster for customers. So that's one. I think the other thing that we did well and will continue to do is partner with the C-suite, because many C-level executives are trying to figure out where do I invest in generative AI?
Many?
But in
I would
AI.
say all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Well said.
I'll say it for you, Paul.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. And so we want to make sure that we are the strategic partner to help them understand where they can actually drive real ROI. We've got more than 1,000 customers who have actually bought what we call ServiceNow Pro Plus SKUs, and so that's our Gen AI product. So we have a huge base of customers who are already driving at scale ROI use cases, and that's just going to accelerate. But it really matters getting to the C-suite, helping them and their boards understand how you use this to drive productivity and efficiency, but also leverage it to drive differentiation in their marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to interviewing all 1,000 of those happy customers soon on our next.
We'll get them here at theCUBE.
Next series. No, it would actually be super fun because I think it matters. It does matter by industry. I've been having a lot of conversations. I was just at the Consumer Electronics Show, and there are a lot of industries who feel feel like tech is just talking to tech people right now, and not, to your point, I think it's interesting you brought up that you've been communicating with a lot more CFOs. I'm not surprised. AI is really expensive.
Right.
So there's compute is not cheap. So there's, and neither are the ecosystems around it. But I do think that I think it's really important that you're doing that, because I think what's going to happen here, people talk about the democratization of AI or the new industries that are going to evolve as a result, and the reality is it doesn't happen if these industries aren't included in the come up.
Yeah, it's a really important point. And from a CFO standpoint, what we've learned in those conversations is, the first is, help me reduce my operating expense in the IT budget by consolidating capabilities on the ServiceNow platform. That's one. And then help me drive productivity and efficiency. And Dave talked about this earlier. Putting AI to work for people means growing your business with the same people. And so it's like really operating leverage is what they care about, not necessarily getting rid of the workforce, which I think is on some people's minds. Right?
I want to say that for a second, because you really just hit the nail on the head. I think when people think about productivity, or it's one of the easier places to illustrate and discuss early gains when it comes to AI. The reality is that doesn't mean that there's not like a finite amount of production that these teams are capable of doing, right? It's not like, oh, we got productivity back, so now I am useless and I have nothing to do. No, now you get to go do the other cool things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's like reduction of lack of productivity almost to a point, because those were not the most human optimized activities. That isn't the highest function of our compute inside our own heads, of our NPU for that matter.
Yeah, and building on that, we just launched our Accenture 2025 technology vision. As part of that, we surveyed 4,000 senior executives around the world. And one of the key facts was 95% of the executives expect, through this technology, that the majority of the time of their employees will be freed up for innovation. That expectation builds on what Paul just said, is like, that's what all leaders need. Right, is to get their employees out helping innovate and grow the business, and drive out efficiency. So it's encouraging, right? We're hearing this through so many different avenues. Like, this is where we want to focus.
Yeah, it is. It is really encouraging. Okay, I have two final questions for you, because this has already been robust, and we could probably talk for the next 3 hours, and probably should schedule a couple more hours to do that. But okay, last two questions for you, real quick. If you could say one thing to people, companies, executives, your family members, who might be skeptical about artificial intelligence and where we're at per our early kind of apprehension conversation, I should say, around this new wave of technology, what would you like to tell them right now? Paul, I'll start with you.
I would highly, I do this. So I have 2 daughters, and I encourage them all the time, use it as much as you can, because even if you get started, you start to understand what the tool does. And no matter what we think, AI is a tool. And so it's a tool designed to help you in whatever task that you're pursuing at that time. So I think the more you use it, the more comfortable you get, the more that apprehension goes away. It's like every new technology that's been released since the dawn of time. And so I think what I would always encourage people, whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life, use the tools.
Yeah, use it. Yeah, well, it's like, don't knock it till you try it. There's a lot of different ways in which that is very applicable. How old are your daughters?
23 and 21.
You want to say hello to them?
Hello, daughters. They would love that.
Hello, daughters. So formal and private.
Yes.
Do you work in AI
Yes.
and privacy? My gosh, that statement wouldn't imply that at all. That was outstanding. Thanks for going along for the ride, Paul. What about you, Dave?
Oh, it's so well said, Paul. Matter of fact, I go into this with both my kids as well. Like, they'll ask me a question. I'm like, have you put this on Perplexity or ChatGPT or whatever it is they're doing their schoolwork? And they're like, Dad, please stop saying that as your first response. So, but the reality is, when you start using this personally, we can think about this work again, this repetitive work. Paul and I are out talking with our customers every single day. Historically, we might have a team or an analyst pulling together prep and briefing materials. It could take hours, days to do that. that's just reality. You want to be out being prepared and for customer visits. Now you can, in these tools, you can prep and get background that used to take hours and days in minutes. And I think that just brings to life, if you apply this across workflow processes, what the opportunity is going to be. And that's what gets us really excited. And then, you know, being out there and seeing, like we're seeing in our own organization, working with customers, like we're seeing the results. So like we just get more and more confident every day. Like, and by the way, this is going to drive a ton of goodness. What better than being able to spend time with customers?
Just say that.
And
this is going to
right?
drive goodness. Yep.
It is. And that's what we believe. We really do believe.
Yeah, I believe that too. How old are your kids?
My daughter's 18 and my son's 16.
Would you like to say hi?
I would love to say over there, hello Whitney, hello Brady.
Yes, they got names.
Yeah.
I love that. That's super exciting. Okay, final question for you. And you're right. There's so much hope. There's so much potential. I feel it in your voice. I hope the audience can feel the energy on this stage right now. Last question. This has been good, fantastic. Thank you both. Seriously, no joke. Have enjoyed this immensely. When I have the chance to interview you again, hopefully very soon, let's call that within 6 months or so, what do you hope to be able to say then that you can't yet say today? Dave, I'm going to go with you first since I got Paul last time.
Yeah, I mean, so we're running very quickly right now to get ready for ServiceNow's Knowledge event in May 2025. We hope all of our audience can join us there. And our goal is to have our customers on stage, Savannah, telling you about how they've changed their ways of working. Like that, the next time we chat, that's what I want to be able to talk more about. And you can hear from our customers about like these real improvements and the goodness that this brought to drive innovation in their companies. Like that to me is what success is all about.
I'm here for it. Can't wait to help you tell those stories and get inspired by them.
Yeah, I would double down on that. I mean, I think our CEO's got this, vision around eliminating the soul-crushing work that just people do every single day. And that's everything from, I talked about T&E, but that's everything from approving, if you're a retail company, you got to approve 700,000 vacation requests a month. These kinds of things, they just eat into your productivity, eat into the innovation. So I think having customers acknowledge and throughout 2025 really drive just exponential ROI for themselves and just get that productivity back inside their companies.
I love that. No more soul-crushing work.
That's right.
More goodness.
Yes.
We've nailed it, gentlemen. This is really just such an exciting kickoff to the series. Paul, Dave, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Love the conversation.
Yep.
Thank
you,
to
Savannah.
Keep this going. They're lucky I'm actually wrapping it up. We could go for another 2 hours. And thank all of you, wherever you might be tuning in. We're here in Palo Alto, California. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.